the lantern will not fix homelessness in northern Arizona, but we can.
Governor Hobbs and Flagstaff stakeholders gathered for the official opening of the Lantern, a hotel turned into transitional housing for the homeless.
Well, I just had the chance to talk to some residents here and just hear from them what this has meant for them. And I've worked with homeless individuals my entire career as a social worker, so it's a huge priority for my administration.
Community center right through here, that'll be a space.
With the addition of the 103 beds at the Lantern, Flagstaff Shelter Services can now house over 400 people a day. Shelter Director Ross Schaefer says in addition to the shelter, they offer medical services and help the homeless get into permanent housing.
Quietly across the street, we filled numerous hotels, and from that we learned something we could see with our own eyes. Housing is healthcare.
The city of Flagstaff declared a housing emergency in 2020. According to Redfin, Flagstaff's median home price is about $200,000 more expensive than Valley prices, and rent is about $500 more a month. So in addition to providing beds for the homeless, the city is also investing in affordable housing. Just last week, the Sierra on 66 opened, providing 221 affordable apartments to households earning up to 60% of the area median income. Their rent ranges from $1,200 to $1,700 a month, at least $300 cheaper than the town's average.
So really trying to kind of fill that need of folks where housing can be really expensive, not only to rent market rate stuff, but also folks who are saving up to buy a home.
Both the Lantern and Sierra receive state funding. Governor Hobbs says with Washington pulling back on housing support, the state and local communities have to step up.
And we can't make up for all of it. I've been saying that from the beginning of this administration in a lot of different areas. And so these kind of community partnerships are really going to be important to help address that too.
Reporting in Flagstaff, Carroll for Arizona's Family.